All right, absolutely. All right. So for me, success. When you saw the masterclass, what was one thing that you were like, okay, like what was that push or what was your expectation coming into the masterclass?
I think I'm always just financially curious, but I guess most of down in line for me, if I end up being full-time a contractor, figuring out how to manage funds, because now it's like the company is not tasking me before stuff, right? And all this matching with employer benefits and all of that might not happen anymore. So it's like when I am now my own employer and employee, how do I manage all of my funds and still think of myself as a corporation and all of that? So really still here to learn the basis and then figure out how to cascade that into other parts. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. See that
Um,
the business people, yes.
I think for me is I think we're just like success. I'm very finance, um, like I love anything finance related. I want to learn more. I don't feel like I know everything. And knowing you is like, oh, this person is really good at this stuff. So why don't I learn from her as well? I also have a lot of goals that are related to money. I think sometimes I just try to figure out how best to split it or what is the priority, things like that, right? So yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. I like this so far. It would be nice to see your faces, but I know, yeah, it's okay. But it would be nice to see your faces because we're now close circle, right? All right, let's move on. Um, let's move on. So just housekeeping, like keeping, I'm going to switch this just because we're not a lot right now. So we can either have our mics on or off, either ways, because we'll not be rowdy anyways. Another thing is if there's a question, I feel like the intent is to have questions at the end so that, we don't lose track or go off. So if you have like a question, you can either maybe just raise up your hand or put it on the chat so that we don't lose track. And then honestly, this slide is, I mean, you hear a lot of things, and you hear some things that are pretty new. So you might also want to take notes. And also, it's been designed in such a way that we have some activities. I really like hands-on practical things. We might not do a lot of it, but definitely we'll have some of it. So, is that good?
Yeah, works for me.
All right. Let's start with story time. How did I even come into this finance thing? I know some people see me on LinkedIn and be like, why is this girl always screaming money on a Monday morning? You're writing posts about money. What is it? Give us a break. But when I was growing up in Nigeria, when you're a teenager, it's almost like you, 1 minute, you see someone that is rich, and the next minute, they don't have anything. You see maybe someone working on the roadside, and you're like, these people are working day and night, and then they go home with maybe they just give them chicken change, like, take this. And I'm like, this is sweat. So as a teenager, I really saw all of that, and it was just like, it didn't make sense to me. And I think that really just when a seed is planted, that was what happened. Then I came to Canada, and I feel like, anyways, I'm a Christian. I feel like the Lord just orchestrated it in the sense that I eventually went to study accounting. Then I came to Canada and studied finance, finished it in 2020. And in 2022, I just felt the Lord nudging me to start learning about money. I'm like, okay. I started learning about money, literally everything I knew. In 2023, I decided that, okay, I'm going to take people on a journey of everything. Oh, okay. Speak for the next. Okay. Talk for me. I see your chat. Thank you. So, what was I saying? So, I was just like, I'm going to take people on a journey of money. I just put out a link. I'm like, anybody wants to learn about money? I'm going to take you on 1 year of learning about money. And I did that, and a lot of people got benefit from it. And then in 2023, again, inspired by God, ABC of money started. So that's just a brief summary of this whole thing. And I felt that was very important so that you understand where this came from. So now let's go. So what is ABC of money? ABC of money, it's literally the length and breadth of what money is. When we think about money, we think about, oh, investing, budgeting, we think about mindset. So literally it's like, okay, a one-stop shop for all of these things in one place. So we're addressing the mindsets, because if the mindset is wrong, you see a lot of children from a young age, all they hear in their house is, oh, we don't have enough. There's no money. We don't have enough. Just scarcity, scarcity. And a child grows up that way. And then all they know is that they can't even spend on themselves. And on the flip side, some people grow up in so much abundance to the extent that they don't have to do much. And then that also cripples their ability to take charge or want to do more for themselves. That's why you see some people that possibly they say nipple babies, they are more like, we just relax, and then the wealth is not able to be transferred over years, and then you see them hustling outside again after a couple of years. So there's just a lot when it comes to money. And then we have budgeting. I always say that budgeting is the foundation for building wealth. And there's so many myths around budgeting that we're also going to touch on. Budgeting is the foundation for building wealth. Literally, if you don't know where your money is going, you don't have control over it. If you can't trace that, okay, this dollar is going to this, you literally don't have control over your money. And then compounding, that's where the real meat is. That's where you're really building your wealth and making your money work harder for you without you having to work extra or put in extra labor. The goal is for us to be sleeping and success, and for me, it's not true. The goal is for us to be sleeping and the money will be accumulating, but then it goes back to knowing how money works, right? So moving on. So what would we be covering today? We'll be covering mindset for sure. We'll be covering budgeting, and then we'll really pinpoint the one that is best for you, because we just don't want to talk aloof. We want to, okay, which one really works for you? Then we'll talk about investment types and the accounts. We'll talk about how I mean, if we're not talking about AI at this point, I don't see like it's in everything, literally everything we do. And yes, AI can also help with your money. And then if we have enough time, we'll go into debt and credit. I've worked with a couple of people, and one big thing is always the debt and credit. Like when, especially for immigrants, you come in, there's this predatory practice that some banks do. They go to some schools, and then you are handing out credit cards to people that have no idea how to use credit card. It's not a bad thing, but if you're giving me a credit card, teach me how to use a credit card. And then you see a lot of people rack up so much debt, and then they are struggling to come out, consumer debt in this context. So that's why we're going to talk about credit as well. How are we doing so far? Feel, I want to get a feel for how we're feeling so far.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I know Tofumi says she will not be able to speak much. All right, so this is the first exercise we'll do. And if you're comfortable, you can unmute, or you could just get a pen and paper and write. So the first thing we're all going to do is just ask all of these questions to ourselves. Was money something spoken openly at home when you were growing up, or was it a taboo topic? If you don't mind speaking up, that's fine as well. Was it a taboo topic? Was it something spoken openly or not?
For me, it wasn't, yeah, it was not taboo, but
Mhm.
I also know that if there was no money, that was not something that my dad would want to talk about. So my mom had a way of covering to make sure that we don't feel it.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, I'm just like, just talk. Like it's
Yeah.
okay to know that there's no money because again, it's a business, but money will eventually come and yeah, God was faithful. So, but it wasn't a taboo, neither was it something that we often spoke about either.
Yeah. I don't think I necessarily. heard about money spoken a lot in my family as well. So it was more so, I feel like in a lot of African contexts, it's always like, let's manage, oh. Do you understand? Exactly. So I think that's something that is common to us, or maybe not. Or maybe not. I can't assume anything. All right. Another question is, do you avoid checking your bank accounts because you're scared of what you see?
Yes, so
Really?
yes, because of the bills. But I think one of the things I started doing like 2 years ago was just separate my fixed income card with my disposable. So yeah, but that my disposable card, yes, I don't like to look at it, but
Do you
I
like to look
need
at it? Okay, that's interesting to know. Hi, welcome back to For Me. So we're just going through the mindset questions.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay. So do you want to answer the first two? So was money something openly spoken about at home, or was it a taboo topic? And the second one is, do you avoid checking your bank account because you're scared of what you see?
Well, it wasn't a taboo, and I think at some points, I don't know if being a teenager was like early enough knowing what was actually going on. Um,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I knew what was going on a little early, I guess. But like it wasn't my parents never made me feel like they didn't have, even if they didn't have. They just probably would say, no, I can't get this for you or something like that. Like they never did a we don't have money for that kind of thing. So it was
Okay.
just, yeah, and almost everything I requested for, I kind of got, even if it was late. Like
Okay.
eventually they'll get it for me.
Okay. For you.
Um, do I avoid check my bank? No, actually, I check my bank account almost every day. Actually, I
Okay.
monitor my money very well because I don't know what is happening. Like I
Okay.
know I receive alerts every time. I think I don't like receiving alerts though, especially when I'm like splitting and paying off my bills. I'm like,
Oh,
oh my God. Oh yeah, just let it come. Right.
okay.
But I often have a rough idea of whatever is in my bank account in my head every time. Yeah.
So there's still the subtle anxiety.
There is,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
there is.
I think that's common to everyone. Okay. The third question, success and for me. Have you ever got paid and had no idea where it all went before the month ended?
I think
Um,
I'm pretty good with knowing this one. Because again, like I split it, like my fixed income, I'm just like, I'm never touching that card because
So,
God forbid I don't have rent. Like, but my disposable income, and maybe that one I can kind of question because, yeah,
okay.
like I don't track my disposable as much.
Okay. All right.
uh, for me, I maybe there was a time years ago that I may have felt like, oh, where did all my money go or
Yeah.
what happened? But I often track my money, like I know where everything is going. And
Okay.
if I eventually I'm like, what did I do with this money? Then I remember I'm like, oh, this is what happened. So yeah.
Good. Okay. The fourth question is, do you believe that wealth building is something available to you, or does it feel like it's for someone else? And I'll tie this to question five. Is also, I always like to ask people this question because it's very revealing, not in a bad way, of course, of, there are desires. Is if money was not a problem, if you had all the money you ever need, what would you like? Okay, what would your life look like if money was no longer your biggest source of stress? Not to say that it's your biggest source of stress, but if money was not in the way or anything, you could do everything, what would you be doing? So those two questions.
Well, huh. Oh, okay. So question number four. Do I believe that wealth is something that's yes, absolutely. This life. Yes, I will make money and I will not only make money but be wealthy. I do believe that strongly. And wealth looks different for everybody, but anyways, let me not go down the rabbit hole. Number five. What would life look like for me if money was Honestly, I feel like I'll just be more present with family and
Mm.
friends, and yeah, I just try to serve because serving is something that really excites me. So if there's anybody that needs help with anything, whether it be it's from my professional skill set, my career skill set, or even with church or whatever, it just gives me more time to serve and help people. Then I will gladly do that because money is no longer a problem. So you need help with this? Oh yes, okay, I can help with this. Do consultation for free. Like, yeah, just serve in whatever capacity. It's what I would do.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Tiffany,
Sorry, I just sneezed. Sorry.
no
Um,
worries.
do you believe that building wealth is something available to you, or does it feel like it's for someone else? I think sometimes, yes, I strongly believe in it because again, money must be made. Me, I have a very strong vision that I must be wealthy in this life and I must not suffer. Um, but sometimes when it's at that very, very downtime, it's like, how is this even going to happen? Like, how am I even going to get to where I need to be? And the other one is, how would your life look like? Or what will it look like? I mean, I like traveling a lot.
Mm,
I know that I'll be hopping countries because I just believe in seeing all the things that God has created. Like I shouldn't just be in one part of my house and not be able to see the world, right? So all the seven wonders of the world, I would want to see it. If money was a problem, that would be the number one thing. And I think I'll lean on also what success said is like even if I don't have a lot of money, I'm just that kind person that likes to give people. And I would I say start a non-profit or charity? I don't know. I don't know if that's where it would be,
uh,
but it would be looking for ways that I can support or help people. It wouldn't be the like if you ask me this question, the first thing I said is the first thing I will say every time, which is I want to travel everywhere. But doing that in my mind, I will be like, I need to help people do things. And I do that now already. So
yeah,
I'm very sure it will be exaggerated. Like it will be way more if like
more.
I can easily give people without limits. Yes.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I share the same sentiment with exactly what both of you said. So thank you. All right, let's move on. So some money mates that we want to bust rather is okay. The first one is, I mean, there are plethora of money mates out there. There's so many things, but these are just some that I was like, okay, this is interesting. The first one is I'll start investing or saving when I earn money. Well, maybe not. Something I always believe is if you don't, it's money is 80% habits that you build and 20% what you actually do. So if you're not even investing that $5 that you have, or you see it as it's just, it's just another coffee money, you most likely not invest in when you have much more. It's most likely because it's and habit thing. You start with the habit. If the habit is not there, it's most likely not going to be there even when you earn more. Another thing is investing is only for rich people, which I know we all agree that is a myth. Budgeting means I can't enjoy my money. I would like to hear your perspective on that one, actually.
Um, so I struggle with this one particularly. And in fact, as we started the money myth, I just even wrote in my notes that at some point I will raise up the point of I actually struggle with spending money on myself because
Mm,
I don't know, it's not like I feel like I don't deserve it, but it's just like there are other things that I will need to use this money for. Do I really need to spend it on this thing? Even if I have budgeted every other thing everywhere, I have saved, I'm like, I can actually save this remaining money. Why do I have to spend this remaining money on myself? But it always ends up in a cycle of now that you've put that money back in savings, then you have to dip your hand in your savings to spend for the money that you should have just left as miscellaneous, things like that. So I think I am personally gradually coming out of that. You can actually spend money on yourself, but I still struggled with it. I think last week, like I had some extra money. I'm like, I better not touch this money on myself because what if something else comes up and I'm unable to cater for it because of this and that? You know what I mean? Yeah.
I get you. I get you. That particular one, I get you. Yeah. Success. How about you?
I feel, yeah, I feel like budgeting can make it hard to and to enjoy the money that you have in the sense of at the end of the day, what is budgeting? Just allocating money to whatever it is that you want to spend on. But the truth is, when let's say your fixed cost or just other responsibilities are high, it
Yeah.
makes whatever is left kind of hard to enjoy because I love soft life. I know my what
Period,
I like,
girl.
but whatever is my bank account for disposable income cannot meet that. So, but at the end of the day, it's just that's the responsible thing to do, and I just have to budget for that. And whatever is left, yes, I try to enjoy it, and that's why I say I don't track it because I this is just one thing. I'm like, please let me enjoy this piece. But at the end of the day, I still feel like, yeah, it's not enough. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I have more. But anyways, contentment and we move on.
Do you currently have a budget?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Okay. All right. We'll move to the next one. It says, I'm too young to worry about retirement.
Oh, n- no, now is the
Oh,
time because I don't
please.
want to cry in my old age.
Yes, so
Okay.
please.
Okay. So how are you guys planning for that right now?
So I think this one I'm about to say will probably be another myth. I don't think my employer is responsible for my retirement, but I do know that my employer is contributing to my retirement. Like
Okay.
I work with government, so there's this public employee pension fund that is building. I did have an RSP at some point where
Yeah.
I was contributing and my employer was contributing. But then when I stopped working there, like the RSP also just paused. And it was
Yeah.
just a lot like my current employer removing money into the public employee fund, then I'm removing money into RSP, which is where I started from the beginning of there's so many places to put money inside. Like, how do I actually split all through? Because again, we want soft life, and then there's also retirement, and then there's also TFS, and then there's also saving for a house, and then saving for a car. Like, how do I split myself into 15 different places? So I would
Yeah.
say currently I am in the circle of my employer is responsible for this particular retirement because I have seen that retirement fund and I'm like, oh, that's not bad. But now that I'm seeing it as a myth, I'm like, oh, do I need to do something extra with the RSP I have? Or do I wait for the next employer that will be RSP and then two of us be splitting the money inside? But yeah, that's my end.
Okay. Yeah, I get you because the government has a pension, but you also really want to Hmm. Hear me out. You also really want to have your own plan. I think a lot of people get shocked, especially with government. By the time you retire, you've relied on the government for so long, and the pension you're getting, they think that, oh, I retire, I start traveling. The pension is not helping you to travel, it's helping you to be like just, you know. So I heard something that really, really stuck with me. Is like when you have an asset and you use it for a couple of years, eventually, if it's not able to do the function it needs to do, you retire it. So that's what you're doing. Do you get? You work for, and again, I'm not for not being an employee or only business. It's almost like you work all this time, you are the assets being used. And then by the time you're done, they retire you. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
I think I'm getting it, but I'm still listening.
Yeah, so they retire you. So that's why, honestly, no employer is responsible for anybody's retirement. You have to have your own plan also outside of it, even though your employer is matching it. And again,
Mm-hmm.
what we both spoke, we three of us have spoken about the fact that we want a bigger life for us.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually have to, I think for me, when I think of it, I'm like, let the employer one be growing there, but I'm
Okay.
responsible for my own retirement. Do you
Awesome.
understand? And I'm working like, okay, if I never get that retirement fund, will I still survive? Will I still be okay? will my children still be good? And we're going to do a retirement calculation that I'll bring up very soon. Okay, the fourth, wait, success, did you speak?
Yeah, I would say right now I'm leaving my retirement plan to like my employer just because again, this is where also being realistic of with inflation and everything, can I even afford to allocate any more of whatever it is that I'm getting
Yeah.
to retirement funds? For me right now, honestly, no. So, yeah, I just leave. So when I say I'm leaving it to my employer, it doesn't mean that I'm still not contributing. I'm just making sure that I'm maximizing the
Whatever.
contribution room so that they can match whatever it is. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's pretty good, but I think the main idea here is you also want to be on top of it. Have you done the calculation to see, okay, by the time what I will get at retirement, would I even be able to cover my basic fixed costs, my rent, all of those things? I mean, they put it inside an investment, but then are they putting it in a conservative investment? Is it even going to, do you understand what I mean? So all of this,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay. We're still going to talk about retirement and it'll be very revealing as well in a good way. So the next one is not using a credit card is the safer or smarter option. Well, no, I think we all agree that in this part of the world that we are, credit is everything and you have to build your credit score, which we will also go into. My money is safe just sitting in my savings account. Of course not. You need to actually actively build wealth. If I just earned more money, all my problems will go away. Again, it goes back to habits. If you are not, again, I'm a Christian, and the foundation of literally, the Bible talks about money so well, is if you are not faithful in little, you will not be faithful, even if you have a million. You see a lot of maybe footballers, they come into wealth suddenly, and all of a sudden, they don't know how to use their money eventually. You're hearing story. I'm sure I'm not the only one that have heard stories of you got all of this money, all of these brand deals, and all, where did it all vanish to? My employer is responsible for my retirement. I think we've touched on it. Your employer is responsible to keep you happy, not wealthy. Um, Renting is just throwing away money, not necessarily. Sometimes buying a home is not always the wisest decision, and sometimes it's the wiser decision. So renting, again, it depends on the stage of life people are, right? And their goals as well. Investing is just gambling. I could lose everything. No, strategic investing is not gambling, and you can never save your way into wealth. It's impossible. You can never save your way into wealth. Okay, moving on. I really want us to cover a lot because okay, so money personality. Looking at this money personality, we have five different types. So we have the saver, people that, they're very effective and they're just good savers. They're very money conscious. You save your money, which is good. Then the big spender, lifestyle, they want to keep up appearances, exotic vacation. And again, we all like luxury. But again, we always have to balance it with, is your pocket luxurious right now or is not? So luxury vacation, keeping up with the Joneses. The third one is the shopper. We have a lot of people that emotionally just shop or they're always looking for deals, which is not bad. But then those deals, they can inflate the prices and then you'll be thinking you're getting a deal, but to be honest, you're actually not getting a deal. A business is out to make profits and you think you're getting a deal, but honestly, you're probably just falling into the trap they set, which is again then the depth of these are people that sometimes get into, and we're talking about consumer debt in this case, racking up like credit card debt and all of that. So you're scared to check your account just because, and again, it can get to a point that you have so much debt, you think you'll never be able to come out, and then you just keep piling up the debt. Do you understand? Then you have the investors, people that invest in things that are also conscious of money and then investing accordingly. So let's do this. I'm going to send, I created this retirement calculator that I'm going to send. You can open it and let's see, would you be able to, I sent it to the group, to the chat. If you're able to open it, just let me know.
I'll open it.
Yeah.
You can't open it. Can you open it?
No.
Mm-mm.
Oh, you can't open it.
Because I'm using my phone.
Or you can copy it and put it directly on what's it called? On the site.
Yeah, I can. Right now I'm using my phone.
It's not working.
So it can't work on, I don't know if it's Safari that is a problem.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let me just show you what I'm gonna show you what I'm oh okay. Let's go back because this is very important as well. I might have to reshare my screen. Let me stop share, then I'll share it again. Okay. So can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's try a retirement calculator. And you can always get you can even use maybe Claude to create one. I created this one on Claude. Let's say someone is 25 years, they're looking to retire at 65, then you have savings of, I mean, I would assume that someone at 25 is probably maybe just graduating and all of that, then maybe contributing like 300 every month, and then their monthly expense in retirement, they're thinking, okay, maybe at least in retirement to cover my basic need would be like 3K, right? And then maybe yes to retirement, but thinking yes to retirement was it can't be 25. Let me just do the calculation. So oops. So that would be 40 years. Oops.
That's years in retirement, though. I
Years
think it's
in
going to live for 105 years.
sorry.
Like, that's years in
Sorry.
retirement.
Years in retirement. How long can we estimate? So if someone, let's say maybe 15 years, do you get? Maybe they live 15 years after retirement, expected rate of return. Oops. Oh, sorry, just a moment. Let's say the average expected rate of return, let's be conservative, let's say 6%, and maybe inflation, let's take it to like 3. Yeah, currently in Canada it's about 2 point something. Let's just say maybe let's take it to like 3. So we're looking to save about at least this savings. So we're looking to save about 1.76 and projected savings as at then. So there's already a shortfall of about 1.1 million just to retire comfortably. Do you understand? So we can already see the gap. Even just for an average person to retire, you're already thinking about 1 million and something just to retire. So that's what I wanted to show. Let me bring up the slide again. Okay. Sorry, just give me a moment. All right. So we're back here. So just to retire is just about So it's that. So that was what I wanted to show, and I really wanted you guys to have that, but it's not working. She's okay. Okay, let's go into budgeting now. Budgeting, what's a budget? A budget helps you to know if you have enough money to cover your expenses. Like I said earlier, budgeting is the foundation for building wealth. So you need to know where your money is at every point in time. Again, making a budget can help you set spending limit, find ways to pay down debts, reduce costs and save more, live within your means, reduce financial stress. There's so much anxiety. Money is one of the, at least one of the three causes of divorce, even in marriage. Have money for things that are important to you. Like Tofumi said, she wants to travel. Success wants to really serve and help people as well. And then the last one is to feel in control of your finances. I believe the biggest thing is when I think of finances or even any aspect of our life is being at the driver's seat and we navigating our way. Like, okay, I know where my money is going to be before I put it in the bank. Is this even the best thing to do at this point? Because a lot of times it seems we just go one way. Oh, someone said this is it. Someone said that, this is it. Well, here and there. And that's why even this ABC of money is so critical, because you already know what money is about. Like, you know your own money so well. And you can say, okay, at this point in time, like Tofumi was saying, oh, she has several things that she wants to put money in. You are able to know, no, even though everybody is saying this is my own priority because I understand my money and I'm well educated. So the different types of budgeting too, I'm giving, um, I'm giving, what's it called? I'm referencing Clever Girl Finance. I really like how she breaks down the different types of budgeting. The first one is the envelope or cash method. And this one is particularly for people that struggle with credit cards. You know, when we're in Nigeria, where we're going to maybe the market and our mommies carry purses and they have, oh, this one is for people that are Yoruba, Owo Ajo, or this one is saving. This one, they already allocate the money into their purse. Do you understand what I mean? Can you relate to that? They have this one for this is Steven's graduation fee. Oh. They have this so that is what the envelope method is. Then the percentage breakout. This is where you say, okay, 50%. I already know this is my fixed cost, 50% of my earning every time. I just put it there. Then you have maybe 30%. Okay, this one is my disposable income. And let us even try and save. Then you have 20%, or maybe you're paying down a debt. You put 20% aside. Then there's the reverse budgeting. This is especially essential for people planning for something big. Maybe they're planning for a wedding or they're paying down their student loan. So you have 100% that comes into your bank account, which is your income. Then you say, okay, I'm going to be putting this amount, maybe 1,000, allocate maybe 20%. Every time money comes, I'll just take 20%. And then the remaining 80% will now be split amongst needs, wants, and then savings or investments. Do you understand the reverse budgeting method, the one?
So
No,
it's
can you
like
say
having
that
a big goal and then splitting it.
The what?
It's like having a big goal and
Right.
then splitting it into what it will go into.
Yeah, so the reverse budgeting is, for example, maybe someone is getting married and they get 3,000 every month as their salary. Once the 3,000 comes in, they know that for me to hit my wedding goal, I need to put 1,000 from my salary all the time. So once it comes in, they just put the 1,000 there. Then the remaining 2,000, that's what they take it as their actual income and spread it across the other things. Is that clear?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. And then the zero-based budgeting is where you have your income and then you have all your expenses. And by the time you list out all your expenses, your savings, everything, it nets off to zero. Meaning you allocate each and every single dollar to one thing, and you see your dollar as an employee, meaning it's serving something. Okay, this $50 is serving my car, is going into fuel. This $20 is going into investment. That means no money is sitting idle. This is the one I personally use as well, and I find it very helpful. So of all of these four, which one would you say you use more?
Zero-based budgeting for me.
Okay.
I would say the reverse. Yeah.
Okay.
What's the percentage breakout method actually?
The percentage breakout is, oh, I already know. I have one of my friends, she uses it. She says she already knows her fixed cost. So this percentage, maybe 20% of whatever comes in as her income, it goes to her fixed cost. She does not even touch it. Then the other ones is maybe 30%. This is for disposable income, maybe my
Oh
one.
yeah, that's me.
So that's it. Okay. So you don't necessarily like list out all your expenses, right?
For my fixed cost, I list out every single thing. I know the ones that are yearly, monthly, all of those stuff to the
Okay.
detail. But for any other thing, yeah, I'm like, please, baby girl life. So if I need to go out for food or whatever, like I just know that this is my disposable income and it has its own buckets. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So let's go to when we before we even go into the split up, again, the zero-based budgeting also have some level of percentage in there because you're in your mind, you're like, okay, at least I'm sure you've heard of the 50-30 rule, which is the common one that 50% of your income should be for your needs. 30% should be for your wants, and then what's it called? 20% should be for maybe you're paying down debt, you are investing, you are saving. Again, I always say it's not a one size fits all. The reason why it's called personal finance is because it's personal. Some people have more household fixed cost than other people, right? Some people 60-20-20 might be what works for them. Some people it might be 70-20-10 that works for them, right? So some of the needs, your food, of course, clothing, shelter. And clothing is debatable because sometimes it's just a want, right? Then your wants. This is where I think this is something that will work for Tofumi is, okay, I'm going to take it back to my own personal budget. There is a section that is just Ayos care or maybe Queen care, whatever you want to label it. And that way, again, it goes back to your relationship with money. You know that you are doing all this, you are jumping from one place to the other, doing this, and just $50 for yourself is not too much, right? I think it also goes back to, anyways, yeah, just even $50 for yourself is not too much. So having it on your budget, that's why the myth we were talking about, budgeting is not restrictive. You're the one that created the budget, you can change it, right? It's meant to guide you and help you know where your money is going to per time. So even if you want to go out for baby girl care, like Success said, you can have a category on your budget that says baby girl care. Do you understand? Do you understand what I'm saying? You can have a category that says that, and that way you're like, and if the next month you're like, you know what, it's okay for me not to spend any extra, you can always drag it to where you want it to be. So it's just to be able to see a full picture of what your money is doing. Welcome, Charity. So the last one, which I coined, is SID. And I like the way it sounds because it feels like seed. We don't want to, okay, Tofumi, go
Well,
ahead.
when you're done with the SID, that's where I have a question, but you might answer it.
Okay, so for the SID is seed, saving investment debt, right? So if, for example, you say 20% you want to be putting it towards, 20% you want to be putting it towards, sorry, let me just confirm that. Okay, perfect. 20% you want to be putting it towards your future because all these needs and wants, You just don't want to be working and then at the end of the day, you have nothing for the future. My mom says this thing that I absolutely love, and I think this would be directed to you too for me. There's something called sustainable living. You don't want to jeopardize today for tomorrow, and you don't want to jeopardize tomorrow for today. You don't want to save for tomorrow that you don't even enjoy today, and you don't want to enjoy today so much. Okay, this is success now. You don't want to enjoy today so much that you don't save. Do you understand? Is that clear? Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes
Yes.
sense. Okay.
Exactly. So that's sustainable living. So for the seed, let's say, for example, someone has some debt. We're categorizing it. Someone has some debt, and then they're like, okay, what do I do now? Do I firstly pay off my debt? Do I do this? The interest that would be taken from your debt, it's most likely better for you to pay off that debt, let it go. Again, you can also balance it in the sense that you still have a bucket where you take at least for emergency, have some money aside, even from that. Maybe that might reduce your debt, but you don't want to get to a point that you just leave your debt hanging. You really want to tackle it because that can take forever if you don't tackle it or nip it by the bud quickly. And the money you're thinking that your savings is giving you or your investment is giving you, the interest rate that the bank is collecting on that debt is probably eroding much of that. So yes, if someone has debt, it's advisable that you actually tackle your debt. Then from there you go to like what's it called? Emergency savings. At least bulk it up to a degree, and to be practical, you don't necessarily have to just put all the money into, you can also be growing that gradually. Maybe, okay, let's be putting $100 into emergency savings every month, just, and then maybe we take the rest and put it into investment. Again, it's personal, however, like it applies to you. But then there's usually tackle your debt. Wait, what is this again? Oh, there's usually tackle your debt, save emergency saving, then investment. Or you can just spread it across. That still works because, I mean, emergency can just happen even as you're tackling debt. So, Tofumi, your question.
I actually have a number of questions. So the emergency funds, it seems like it's more of a gradual savings, like you continually grow it because been hearing a lot about emergency funds. Yes, saving for 3 to 6 months of your expenses, which in some cases could be up to 15 or $20,000, if we're
Yeah,
being honest, right? Okay. So you said you can do it um together or
you can do it together.
okay. So if the I personally don't believe that you should save 20%. I feel like it should be more than that. Again, I'm also a saving person, as you know, like you said. um, but what is the percentage separating between emergency funds and the investment piece? Like, is it just as you feel like should you just do 5%, 15, or like if I use 20% as a benchmark, or do we do like 10%, 10%, or it just depends on you personally, or is there like a I won't call it a standard, but more of like advice of okay, this is how much you should separate. That's the first question. The
Yeah.
second question is do you put your emergency funds in like a TFSA? Because I was listening to a podcast a few days ago and they had mentioned like because it's not something you need immediately, you can
Yeah.
put it in like a growing account, like a savings account that will give you like good interest or something like that, rather than just leaving it in an account where there's nothing that's happening with the money and it's just there. Although someone else had already said, no, don't put it to your TFSA because you need it, like, you may need it immediately. But in some cases, with some banks, you can withdraw it immediately. But with some other banks, maybe like RBC, if you're investing that money, you may have to wait for maybe like 2 or 3 days. So those are my questions.
Okay. Those are really good questions. I'll start with the last one. So you can put it in a high interest savings account or you can put it in a TFSA. In your TFSA, you can also invest in things that you can easily get your money out of it, right? So it also depends on you. Yeah.
Okay.
That helps.
Sorry. Yes, that
Uh,
helps. That actually
the other question, sorry, I'm trying to remember.
is percentage that you're separating for
Yeah.
emergency funds versus like your investments if you're
Oh,
using
okay.
just like 20% of your
Yeah.
income.
There is no one size fits all, to be honest. Again, it goes back to actually doing the calculation. How much do I need to retire? Or if, again, it goes back to your goal. If your goal is, okay, I want to buy a house, how much should I be putting out of, let's say, okay, 20% of my fund is all I have left for debt repayment, savings, emergency savings, and interest. How much should I be putting aside to be able to get to this goal? In how many years do I want to even get to it? Do you understand? So that might look like 5% for you, and you'll be able to hit your goal in the number of years you set. And that might look like, okay, maybe just bulking up your investment more or your emergency saving. And if it's someone that really has a lot of anxiety, you might say that, you know what, please let me just focus on emergency just so that I will not die. Do you understand? So it depends. I don't know
Okay.
if that's helpful.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no worries. Success, charity, and question.
No, I'm following along. No question from my end.
Okay. All right. So yeah, for the seed, I just see it when I even say seed, it's almost like a seed into your future. First off, paying off your debt is a big seed into your future because by the time you see the interest rate you're getting from the banks or your investment, that is already eroding the, especially if it's consumer debt, is already eroding like the interest you're paying on the debt is already eroding the investment benefits you are even getting. So yes. Um, so this is an example of what a budget will look like. Let me send you, where is it? Okay, I will assume that we all have a budget, right? Like we have something that works for us. I was going to send a zero-based budgeting template, but I would just assume we have one. So this is an example of how a budget will look like. You have your income, all the money that is coming, then you have your expenses. If your income is greater than your expenses, then you have a positive cash flow. If it's the opposite, if your income is less than your expenses, well, there might be something that has to go. Maybe you've cut down on some subscription or just really take a good look at your financial picture. All right. So some budgeting apps that we can use. If I'm being very honest, I know there are some apps that help, but also I feel like if someone is getting started, Excel is also a good option, to be honest, because that way there's something Excel does that you'll be able to, okay, as you are manually typing, you know that like you'll be able to know exactly where your money is going to, at least maybe even for the first 3 months. Just use this, have a money date, maybe once a month, where you sit down and say, okay, can I remove this thing? Do I really need it? Do I not need it? All of those things. And that might also be in addition with any budgeting app that you're using. But I am more biased to just using Excel, to be fair. And yeah. So I know we've spoken about budgeting, but then if we don't touch on this, we'll just be kidding ourselves. How do we literally earn more? So some people, the money is not even sufficient for them to even say they are doing budgeting. How do we really earn more? And this will go into for people that are more business inclined, like what do friends come for you for? And this will be an exercise you really want to sit down and analyze. Like, what do friends come for me for? What industry are you really passionate about? Like success. I know she's passionate about marketing. Is that correct? Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No, you're not. Oh.
Okay. Yeah, she's passionate about marketing, right? And then what product or service can you create in line with that? So if I'm analyzing this for myself, what do friends come to me for? Money. I need money or career. Like, okay, can you give me an advice on this? How do I manage negotiation at work? All of those things. So literally money and career. What industry? Of course, the finance industry. What product or service can I create? I can create an ebook. I can create maybe a money card conversation. Something I'm thinking of actually. A money card conversation. What problem have you personally experienced? Have you experienced the problem that it seems everybody has opinion about money, like put this here, invest here, this and that, but there is no one or comprehensive way to, grow when it comes to, okay, this is the foundation, this is, I'm supposed to be budgeting, then there's compounding rather than taking any information. And that's what the ABC of money stuff, like just one-stop shop to knowing this. And what could you do for hours without burning out? This is almost 1 hour I've been talking about money. So it's something that I'm very passionate about. And what exists that you could do better? Again, one-stop shop, not information everywhere. How can we centralize this and people are getting maximum value for it? So just briefly, I would actually like to, okay, talk for me.
Sorry, I don't know the question you're going to ask. I should have probably waited. I have I have a question. Um, so I like this. It makes sense to me, but I just feel like sometimes when it's like when you're trying to create a product or a service, you spend a lot
Yeah,
of money. And with business, there's no assurance that you're going to
make the
make the money back or make it. I'm just talking just right now from my own
experience.
experience. Not that I've started selling it yet. Like this is me trying to restart a business and I can see how much money is being spent. And there's just that, yes, we're praying to God, like God, please just let me make the money I have spent and more. But just in some other cases, it's like you're trying to save and you're trying to invest, but then do you now turn that investments to investments in your own business? Or do you now still separate? Because again, capital is important. You don't want to start loaning money from the bank. So do you now
Yeah.
turn that to savings for your business to create how you can earn more money? I don't know if everything I said has made sense.
Yeah, I think again, it goes back to the picture. If there, see, I will never stop talking about budgeting because you can always create a category as well on there. And I think sometimes we think of it as, oh, it has to be bulk, or if I'm doing only this thing. No, you can actually always create a category and let it grow. Money takes time to build, wealth takes time to be like, let it grow. If it's $20 you can put towards that business, start, and you know that you are not necessarily going to need the money in the next 1 year. You can literally open a TFSA for it or interest. Maybe preferably TFSA, where you are able to, okay, can I put this money into this and at least get some things from it, right? Rather than it sitting idle, right? So I don't know if that helps with your question.
Yeah, it helps. I think some of my questions are also me trying to see if I'm on the right track of what I am doing. Because what you have said is what I am doing. I just wanted to see, oh, is there a different way? Is this an experience that other people have? Because people don't really talk too much about things that they
Yeah,
are going through, what is happening, right? So
yeah.
thank you.
No worries. Absolutely. Again, goes back to personal, right? Personal finance. Like your goal is to be wealthy, and to be wealthy, you're thinking of this business, and you know that there's some capital intensity, like there's still some, you would need at least some funds, even if it's to, have a website, you will still need some funds to be able to do this. Again, you also want to be looking out for opportunity, especially this part of the world that we are in. There are so many government opportunities out there. Maybe asking a friend, doing some research. You might have to create like a deck or something, and you will see that, oh, you can actually get a grant for this, your business. You can do this, right? So absolutely. Um, Honestly, I like your time is so important to me. I feel like we still have a lot to cover, and it's already past 12. But I hope this has been helpful so far. Anybody? Yeah.
Yes, As it's definitely making me think, huh? I think I think I'm shocked to actually hear and believe that zero-based budgeting actually works because again, like things spring up and even just the questions around if emergency happens and all of that, like okay, how much percentage of savings and all of that, because again, there's only so much one can work towards in a goal part time. Like if you're saving for investment, RSP, emergency funds, like before you know it, the percentage of this spending of this savings begins to thin out, right? Maybe it's like
Yeah,
5% here, 5% here, 5% here, and just
yeah,
hearing everything is like, well, I can see some aspects that I'm ignoring and putting more focus on. So yeah, it's good for me to just go back and reflect on and say, okay, is there anything in which maybe reduce the percentage in a certain account and pivot
yeah.
it into something else? And if let's say emergency cost is more important to me, how quick do I want to make that emergency cost in the next 6 months? If so, then maybe other saving whatever would take a pause just so that I can quickly build up to that goal and all of that. So anyways, definitely lots of reflection after this.
Okay, that's good. So let me even ask this question. What would be your short to medium term goal right now when it comes to, yeah, what would be your short to medium term goal financially right now? Let's say within 1 to 5 years.
Well, I would say getting a house.
Yeah.
So I do want to get a house, but yeah, that would be like an investment property too, where I can live in and also rent out at the same time, maybe like an Airbnb or something.
Yeah.
So that's and the other thing would be emergency fund. So that would be more so like short term, and then medium term is like a house. And I feel like I've been focusing more so on that, but
Okay.
ignoring ignoring emergency funds. Like, oh well, it's okay. Yeah,
That makes sense. Yeah. Even if it's $50, to be honest, for emergency, just put it
just
aside.
feels so small. So it's like, what's the point?
Sometimes little drops of, I know this will sound, oh, little drops is like cliche. Little drops of water literally makes an ocean, to be honest. Like just putting it, you never know where that would come into play. Right, you never know. So even little drops of water, that $20, again, it goes back to how you manage little. That's how much God will be able to entrust. If you see that $20, well, this is nothing. Do you know if you do the calculation, just leave $20 there, or you're investing $20 every month in maybe an index fund, within the next, let's say, 20 years, do you know how much it's going to give to you? It's going to give you so much. So I feel like if there's one thing to take out, never see any money as small money. Never see any money. That's why that zero-based budgeting is almost like you are seeing it as an employee. If I employ you success today and then employ Tofumi, if Tofumi is I do, I'll most likely fire at some point, or we're definitely going to have a discussion. So it's the same thing. Is this money working for me? Is this $1 working for me, or is just sitting I do? It's not effective. I'm going to retire it. Do you understand? So
Right,
locating your, I think the perspective shift to have is this $20 is an employee. How will I treat an employee that is not working? That-
right.
exactly. So yeah. Um, I don't know. Okay, the question I was going to ask is if any one of you just want to quickly give us an idea of how do I earn more, the way I broke it down for even myself, that would be very helpful, just so you have an idea.
Like a personal example of how we're currently earning more, or examples of how we all can earn more.
Yes. So just going through like, okay, what do your friends come for?
Oh, okay. I think for me, there's a lot of things that I can actually do. For
Mhm.
some reason, I'm jack of all trades. Um, and I don't believe jack of all trades, master of none, by the way. I believe jack of all trades, master of none is better than jack with no trade at all. That's my own. But So, what do people come to me for? I think people come to me for tech-related things, user experience, fashion, styling, um, designing. Designing could be clothes, could also be posters and all that. So yes, that's number one. Industry that I'm passionate about, I would say fashion and user experience. And what product or service can I create? Still on the same thing, but for fashion, more like clothes and all that. But for user experience, I haven't started on any masterclass, which I think now that I'm saying it out loud, I should probably get to it. What program have I personally experienced? I think for me, and relating back to the product and the business that I am starting, is just not having that variety of options for colorful pieces in Canada. Because it's a lot of plain black, white, and blue when you go into H&M or Zara, and just sometimes being Nigerian, you just want that extra spice when you're going out and those kind of pieces. So I think that's a problem that I have personally experienced. Um, what could you do for hours without burning out? Same thing. I think I've wrapped my life around user
User
experience for tech
experience and
and
process.
fashion. So I think those are the two things. What exists that you could do better? I don't know if I have an answer for that one right now. Like when you say what exists, is it what I
So there are two ways to create a business. It's either you innovate from something someone is already doing, or you just create something afresh. Do you understand?
mm-hmm,
Maybe, for example, someone has, maybe they are doing something in tech that you're like, you're seeing the blind spots that they are not seeing. Then you can create your own, maybe a variation from it.
mm-hmm,
Exactly. So when creating a business, either you innovate from someone's blind spot or you create a fresh one from the start, like your own fresh idea. Either way, like um, I would recommend this book, Still Like an Artist.
okay.
Still like an artist. Like everybody is stealing one thing or the other, but then it's not really theft because you are going to have, nobody can do something the way you would do it. You are going to have your own spin and it will look brand new. Do you understand? So the fact that we looked at all the types of budgeting tools we have. The fact that co is there does not mean that Piggyverse should not be there or this should not. Do you understand what I mean? So there is something that they are possibly doing that their audience, and it might just be their audience just like them for liking sake, and they choose to stay with them. So yeah, I don't know if success want to go and charity, or we'll just move forward.
No, I just move forward for me. Maybe charity can go.
All right, my favorite part. Maybe anyway, I like all parts. All right, compounding. What is compounding? Compounding is earning return on both your original investment and on return you received from your investment, like the interest you got from investing your principal amount. Let's say you invested $1,000, then it grows and then you're getting like 1, 2 eventually. So that's literally what compounding is. Again, we already hinted at this. It takes time to grow wealth. There is no overnight success. It takes time. People that you see that are overnight success is because they've been doing it at the background and nobody saw them. And then all of a sudden they're out there. There have been times where they're up at night, mastering their skill, doing all of these things. So there's really no overnight success. And if you want overnight success, that would be Ponzi scheme, which we don't want to do. um so I wanted to manually break down how compounding works. So you have your principal, you have your interest, you have the number of compounding periods, which is the end, and then you have the time. And again, you will already notice I really like acronyms, PINT, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So I'll say crush compounding. So for example, your return, let's say your principal, the amount, principal is the amount you actually put in. So let's say you put in $1,000 maybe into a stock on your TFSA, investing in a stock inside your TFSA, then you say, okay, the interest rate is maybe 6%, then you leave it for about 2 years, and at the end of that, you get 1,123, meaning you didn't have to work for the 1,123, the extra 123. It just grew from there, just from leaving it to compound, right? Is that clear?
Yeah.
All right. So there are different types of, before we even go into the different types of investment, there's something called risk appetite, and that determines how you want to invest. There are some people that they're very conservative. Honestly, let me just be seeing my money. Like the 1,000 I put, it must not diminish to 999 at all. It must not go down to 990. I don't want to see it. So they are more of, okay, let's keep it safe. Don't let us do much. Then there are people that are more risk tolerant. Like, okay, I mean, I don't mind you going to maybe 999 or 890 or something. And then you have the people that are risk takers. They're like, well, if my 1,000 dips to like $200, he's still fine. We'll still cash out. We'll still do all of these things. Like they keep doing it. But then it's very important to know. That's why I will keep emphasizing the fact that personal finance is personal. You have to know your risk tolerance. If your mind cannot take being a risk taker, don't do it. Don't do it. If not, you will not sleep. You will have plenty sleepless nights. So yes, looking at this, where would you say you fall into?
Very recent as well.
Really?
No, sorry. Risk taker, high risk. Yes.
Oh, you're a risk taker.
Yeah.
I think I'm more risk tolerant.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. I think I'm in the middle. Like I could be a risk taker and I could be risk tolerant. And I feel like again, there's always, I know in personal finance, there are a lot of this is how to do it, but I always like to be in the nitty-gritty and nuances. I feel like you can be almost everything. Of course, you have a dominant one. In some cases, you might tend to fall into one category or the other. And something I like to do is to spread the risk. For example, I will be in real estate. I will also invest in stock and maybe just have some high interest savings account as well. As long as I know that, okay, this is flowing, this will eventually get me to where I need to get to maybe for retirement. So I can still spread the risk. And there's the big thing about diversification. You don't want to put all your investment into just, let's say, into just, what's it called? Maybe Apple stock. That is dangerous. If Apple, so there's something that recently happened, which I just love World Simple. I know we know World Simple. They're going to IPO soon, meaning you're going to be able to buy their shares. And I was reading what the co-founder wrote today. I saw the post on LinkedIn today, and it just made a very good statement. That's why I love companies that are very transparent. He said the fact that Simple is going to IPO does not mean that there's no risk. The fact that a company is going to IPO does not mean that oh, they're not going to have issues or something. I was like, that is so sweet to be able to even put that at the end of their message. Usually people just want to sell you things, right? So it was very nice that it did that. So what are some, if, okay, me is more risk tolerant, success is more of a risk taker. I think I put myself more of the risk taker. I tend to that a lot more as well. So what if you are risk averse, you're looking into cash, GIC, high interest savings account, bonds, T-bills, treasury bills, money market funds. Then if you're risk tolerant, you're looking at, okay, let's keep in index fund, ETFs, mutual funds, but anyways, dividend stocks, blue chip. real estate REITs. If you don't want the stress of real estate, like tenants, all of those things, there are some stocks you can actually buy into that tracks, like they invest in real estate, but you are just invested into stock. And if it goes up, your stock goes up. If it goes down, your stock goes down. And then gold. Then we also have the risk taker. We have stocks, of course. We have alternative investments. People invest in maybe artwork. That's an alternative investment. You have crypto, you have Forex, you have options, you have startups, and you have private equity. So let's go into, I just wanted to break it down much more. So for risk averse, again, cash is just keeping your money where it's safe, very safe, and it grows little. GIC, lending your money to a bank for a set time in exchange for guaranteed interest. You can keep your money there for maybe 6 months. It will be like typically 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, and you already know that, oh, you get this amount at the end of the day, your principal plus interest. But best believe it's not going to be a lot. It's just going to be a small fraction. Then high interest savings account, a savings account that pays interest while you keep your money accessible. So if people talk about emergency fund, they'll typically say, oh, high interest savings account. So bonds, lending money to a government or company and getting paid interest. So all these things like GIC, bonds, T-bills, money market, they're called fixed income accounts, like fixed interest. You know exactly what you're getting back at the end of maybe 6 months that you put in there. So where are we? We're talking about T-bills now. So short-term loans to the government that are considered very safe. The money market is just a pool of short-term investment that earn modest return. For a risk averse person, you're most likely not going to be getting a lot. It's literally, you can as well put your money in savings account at that point. You're not going to be getting a lot. So it's usually people that are interested in just capital preservation and predictable income. And maybe this would most likely in the ideal world is most likely people that are already retired or retiring that should be risk averse. You don't want to be retiring and putting your funds in stock because you literally need the money. But people that are younger, you should be taking more risk at that point. Not, of course, calculated risk, not, oh, I'm seeing this thing coming out. I'm going to put my money. No, you want to do your detailed research as well. So for risk tolerance, you're looking at index fund, a fund that owns an anyways, we're going to get there. A fund that owns small pieces of many companies to spread our risk, right? So, for example, you go on Wealthsimple, you see a lot of index ETF. So you are usually, the example I like to give, maybe you go to Sobeys and you see apple, you see oranges, you see lemon. Rather than you buying each and every one of them individually, you can go to the fridge where they have mixed fruits. I know, do we know the mixed fruits? Like you just buy one and there's mixed different fruit in there. You have the orange inside mixed fruit. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So you just
Yep.
pick. So that is an index fund. You're just buying one thing that already have all of these things. So if you go pick the orange, that's like you just going to buy Apple shares. If you go pick the lemon, that's like you just going to buy Bridge shares. If you go pick the banana, that's like you just going to buy Nvidia. So if anything goes wrong with any of those shares, literally is going to affect you in one way or the other. So that's what an index fund is. An ETF is also just like an index. It's a basket of investment. You can have bonds, stocks, all of this. It's a basket of investment. Then you can buy it like a stock. So usually people are not necessarily going to just, oh, if you want to buy an index fund, you have to go to the fund itself, but that's not something that is popular. So if you want to maybe buy an index fund that tracks the S&P 500 or Dow Jones, you most likely buy, if you go on Wealthsimple, you see index ETF, S&P index ETF. So that's just like you buying the stock. It's tracking the S&P 500 that way. So I don't know if you've seen that on Wealthsimple, if you're buying like an ETF. Yeah. So mutual fund, what are mutual fund? Mutual fund is just like ETFs as well. But in this case, is someone, if you go to banks, is most likely mutual fund you're going to get. You go to them, you're buying, you say, oh, I want to invest my money. Maybe it could also be in a TFS. Say, okay, there will be a financial advisor that'll say that, okay, this and that. So you have people that are controlling it in that case. So it's literally still the same thing as ETF, but this one is controlled by people. And the thing you want to watch out for is that there is a percentage of amount you pay to them, whether you make a loss or a gain. So that's why sometimes mutual funds are like, oh my gosh, by the time the interest you get from even the investment erodes what is eroded by the amount you're paying them. Do you understand? So yeah, that's something to watch out for. They call it, is it management expense ratio? Yeah. I mean, we do have that also in if you are doing self-directed investing, but it might not be as much. Then dividend stock, which I like, are stock companies that regularly share some of their profits with investments. A big one is Bridge, ENB. That's the ticker number on Wealth Simple. Then real estate, buying a property that can grow in value and earn rental income. So there are two ways literally that you can earn money on real estate. You can have rental income, like Success said, you have some, maybe an investment property, you have people there and you get regular monthly income. And then at the same time, your property is actually growing in value, which is called capital gain. So by the time you are selling that property, you are getting the difference between the amount you bought it and the amount you're selling it for. That's the capital gain, the return you are getting. So those are two ways people really earn money from real estate. Then you have the REITs, like I mentioned before, investing in real estate through a company that owns many properties. You might just not want the old tenant issues and all of that. So if you go on Wealth Simple, you can literally type REITs. You're going to see quite a couple of them. Then you have gold, a precious metal. Wealth Simple also, you can actually buy gold there. You can be invested in gold there as well. So for risk tolerant people, they just want steady growth with some protection. They don't mind some risk, but not a lot. And there's a rule, the higher the risk, the higher the return, right? But again, we want to work according to what will make us sleep at night. So risk taker, then we have the stock. I know we know what the stock is. You see Apple, the way you're buying Apple to eat, you're also buying Apple on your investment platform, on your brokerage account. You say that, okay, you buy an Apple share. Is that it's called either a share or stock. Then you have alternative investment, which we've spoken about. Then we have crypto, digital currency that can gain or lose value. That is very risky. So if it's losing value, it can literally go from this morning gaining to losing at night. So it's very, very volatile. Then we have forex, just trying to take advantage of the difference in currency. So trading different currencies to profit from exchange rate changes. Then we have options. Option is contract. So you buy it's almost like a paper. You are buying the right to buy something, maybe a stock before a particular day. Maybe there's a price that has been set. You're like, this price is good. So you buy the contract that, okay, I'm going to buy it before it elapses on this particular day. So contract that lets investor bet on future stock price movement. And startups, which recently became very much popular, investing in new business that could either fail or become very successful. And then private equity, investing in private companies before they IPO or become publicly traded, where everybody will not be able to buy it. But some people have already gone behind the scene to get, that's why you see some companies when you get into the company. So even when you are entering maybe a tech startup, you just don't want to be negotiating salary. You also want to be negotiating stocks as well with them. Like, okay, can I get a fraction of your shares? And in that case, if the company does really well and they go IPO, you're already a first beneficiary of that as well. So maximum long-term capital growth. Are we good? No. Are we bored?
Definitely a lot of information,
Yeah.
but we're following. That's why I say masterclass.
Should we
Mhm.
stop here? Should we stop here? I know it's a lot. It's a lot of information. But
I
again,
think for me,
yeah,
I just have the question of there are
okay.
all of these accounts, right? Like a whole lot. And yes, we want to pick the ones to like invest in. But again, if we go back to even the percentage of, okay,
Oh,
let's just go with 70% needs and let's say 20% um wants. So
mhm.
let's say 70%, and when I say needs, that does not even include investing. That includes like your fixed costs and all of that. And let's say your wants and then needs. So let's say need, yes, we're putting investment on that need. So maybe we're putting that in the remaining 20%. So if we're saying, okay, we're going to invest 20% of our money, can you see how it feels like there are so many things to invest in? And it's just like, what then do I do? We have the TFSA, we have the FHSA, we have the REITs, we have the index funds. It's like, what would be a smart way in order to, it
Yeah.
just feels a bit overwhelming as to what do I do?
I get you. So now there is success. Our goal is to buy a house. Like that is your primary goal now. So what will I be doing? I'll be trying to maximize my FHSA, right? But then I also do not want, maybe this is just how I think. I don't sustainable. I don't want to jeopardize maybe retirement just or emergency just for that. Do you understand what I mean? Again, you might not have the bulk of money, but also that's why we touched on all these pieces. You're also looking into business that can help you with this. So if it's for someone, this is not financial advice, by the way. This is for someone that wants to work on their FHSA, you want to buy a house, you want to be looking to put more into your FHSA as well. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But then where does like index funds and all of that come in? Like, okay, at
Oh,
what point should I start thinking about those other
oh,
investment accounts?
oh, I see where the confusion is. So inside your FHSA, okay, do you have your FHSA open?
No.
Oh, you've not opened your FHSA?
No, okay, no, I have the account. I thought you mean right the second. Like with
No.
yes,
So
I have the account, yeah.
you've put some money in there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And what are you invested in there right now?
That's a good question because I feel like with all of my investments, I all do it through Bell. From my stocks to my FHSA to my TFSA to my RSP. So I just all of that is managed through Bell because I have accounts through that employee platform. So
Mm,
even when people say like call simple and all of that, like I know it's really good, but I don't use it because all of my investment or savings and all of that is really all with Bell.
oh, and that is your company, right?
Yeah, correct.
So you don't have anyone like outside of your company.
Nope.
Okay, okay. I see what you're saying now. So do
It
they
doesn't mean I can't move it though. Like I can move it to Wealth Simple and stuff,
uh,
but I just never saw the need to because I'm like, well, that's just an extra account that I have to open. So like I know how to use
yeah,
it anyway. So it's like since I already have it, what's the need of opening another one? If there's value in me moving
yeah.
it to Wealth Simple and then having to manage certain stuff, like yeah, I'll definitely be more than open to that.
Okay. So does Bell do the investment for you, or you can go in and actually invest inside yourself?
So they basically ask you your risk tolerance, and
Okay.
then from there, I guess they manage where it goes to. So I don't necessarily know the individual investment that it goes to. Yeah.
Okay, okay. That makes sense. And that's something you can also just keep, to be honest. So this is literally just for you to be aware, and you don't want to, I'm guessing you picked to risk taker, right? When you were
Yeah.
doing okay, when you were doing your so I think it's something that you can keep. Again, it depends on if at the end of the day is meeting the goal, maybe your retirement and all of those things. So right now, do you like split it between FHSA, RRSP inside the bell?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that works. Yeah, that works. in my head, I was thinking of, oh, maybe someone that is they call it self-directed investment. So
Yeah,
that
but I'm still interested in like where does index fund really come in with having all of these other accounts?
So, okay, now let me talk from someone that maybe self-directed investment. For example, let's say you open a TFSA account. Inside the TFSA account, that is where you invest in index. So it's not like a separate thing. Do you understand? You have your TFSA account. When you put money there, you are just not leaving it idle. So
I see.
what do you invest in? You invest in stock inside the TFS. So you invest in ETFs inside the TFS. So you invest in index. Do you understand what I mean?
Okay, okay,
So
that makes sense.
yeah, so it's not separate. These are just accounts that you can use more like vehicle. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
And inside, you still have to do the work of investing in something actually.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah, that's okay. I guess that helps
So
my
that
connect
helps.
the dots. Thanks.
Yeah, so that's it. So your tax-free savings account, you already know for Canadian resident that are 18 plus with a valid SIN, you can open a TFSA account. It's best for literally everything, emergency funds, short-term goals,
Yes.
retirement. And if you want to check your contribution room, meaning the amount is not just you can contribute any amount indefinitely. There's an amount, specified amount that you can contribute, and it grows every year. You can go into your CRA and you'll be able to see it there. And it's the same thing for RRSP. So Canadian residents who earned income and they are still under the age of 71 because it's a retirement account, it's a tax deferred account, meaning that when you get paid and you put some money in your RRSP, it reduces the amount that they tax you on. Exactly.
Yes. Yes, it is. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So it reduces the amount that they tax you on and taxed by the time you are withdrawing, there are really about two reasons why you should be withdrawing, maybe to buy a house. So you can even use your retirement RRSP even as investment to buy a house for education and then for what's retirement itself. So those are really the three. If not, if you withdraw aside from any of those, there's something called withholding tax. They're going to charge you, is it about 30%? And you will lose money. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So deadline to contribute is usually 60 days after December 31st for that tax year. So for example, maybe you have gone through the tax year, then between January to that March period, then you start receiving email that, oh, put some money in your RRSP so that the amount they tax you on is lower.
Yes.
Then by the time you eat, by December 31st of when you hit 71, it would have to be converted into registered retirement income fund. So you're not having your RRSP for life. By the time you turn 71, the year you turn 71, the December 31st, you have to transfer it to your RRIF. And also you can check CRA for your contribution room because it's not indefinite amount. The first time home savings account, Canadian resident it was a recent one, between 18 to 71, first time home buyer usually tax deductible and tax free. So the benefit of FHSA is that it combines both TFSA and RRSP. You know how in TFSA, whatever interest you make, even no matter how much your money grows, you're not being taxed on it. If you invest in index fund and it makes a lot of money and you're not being taxed on it. Then the other benefit, which is from the RRSP, is the fact that whatever money you put inside your FHSA, it also reduces the amount you are taxed on at the end of the tax year. So it combines the benefit of both FHSA and TFS. No, the benefit of RRSP and TFSA together. Is that clear? Have I lost you?
No, no, you're good. I think for the rest, I understand. It was just where the index and the other funds come in.
Okay, yeah. And then we have the registered education accounts, registered education savings plan for people that are parents. which is something good to know because the government matches the amount as well. So if, for example, so you have lifetime per child, which is 50K, then you have tax deferred inside the account, meaning that you don't pay tax in the interim as you are putting money, but by the time you start withdrawing, you actually pay tax. And again, there are two categories. That's a whole other thing. Then you have government grants. So 20% on the first 2,500 that you put. So the government matches it. So you get like 500 free money from the government, literally. And then the total amount that the government can contribute as grants per child is 7,200. Then you have other accounts, which is usually not talked about a lot, is non-registered account. Maybe once you max out every other thing and you're like, oh, where can I put this money? But something about those ones is the fact that you will be taxed on every penny. So let's move forward. So these are also some platforms. I'm sure we are very familiar with it. We were supposed to have some Nigerians joining. So I didn't want to leave anybody hanging. So that's why I was like, okay, we're going to put this side by side. So now let's go to stock, which is the big thing that everybody's talking about stock. You want to invest in stock. So when you are really investing in stock, let's say I want to invest in Apple, what am I really looking for? Is I want to look for this one that people often overlook. They think it's all about the numbers. You want to look for the qualitative. What are they talking about in the news? Is there a decrease? Is the CEO moving mad or about to move mad? Or just things like that. So business model, what does the company actually do? Can you explain it in one sentence? The industry, you want to see the industry, how it has gone over the years. Is it growing? Is it booming? For example, everybody's talking about tech industries. Of course, tech is somewhere you want to be invested. AI is here to stay for sure. Leadership, who is running the show there? Competitive advantage, what makes them hard to replace? Like NVIDIA, we do know that to a good degree, they're actually hard to replace. The CEO is really, really, going for it and growing very much. Reputation, how the customers and employee and the market actually perceive them. Then we now go to where a lot of people focus on, which is the numbers. You want to check some numbers like the revenue, are sales growing year by year? What's their earning per share, their price to earning ratio? Are you overpaying for the share that you are buying? Debt to equity, are they very debt incentive? Are they very levered? So, and also you want to check for their dividend history. Do they pay dividend? Of course, not every company pays dividends. Some people have value stock. For example, we say Microsoft, they're not growing as much just because they've been here. You can trust that they are here to stay, but they're most likely not going to be growing as much. And then you have growth stock. Maybe, oh, there's this new wave of quantum. Everybody talking about it, that, oh, Trump is saying that he has already given us the blueprint of where to invest, this and that, go buy quantum. So yeah, so those are growth stocks. Like you can say that this one is going to grow fast and all of that. So because analyzing stock is a lot, it's a lot of work for anybody. And over the years, even people that try to beat the market have not been able to beat the market. That's why you most likely hear a lot of people, oh, let me go to this. So a way to analyze is Yahoo Finance. So especially for beginners, it might be a lot and it's very understandable. That's why, so for example, this is how it would look. I'm sure we're very familiar with this. Some people have Wealth Simple, you have Bell accounts. You can always see the trajectory. So you can check 1 year, how far the company has done in 1 year, this and that. You see different things that you can analyze, their PE ratio, and all of that. So side by side, a Canadian bank, a Canadian share, and a Nigerian share. Then from stock picking to indexing, you hear a lot of people talking about index fund, index fund. So because stock picking requires researching individual companies, which can be a lot, also, there are higher risk if one company performs poorly and it's difficult to consistently beat the market. People have tried for years, but they've not been able to do that. And even when people do, it's a one-time wonder usually. Then index investing offers a simpler alternative. You can own hundreds of thousands of different companies within a single investment. You remember what we said, and some popular index ETFs are VFV, QE, QT, and then you have the VGRO, and then for Nigeria ones, you also have this one. So, okay, well, almost like three. Then now we've spoken about building wealth, but then do we know how to protect it? So that's where we have life insurance, which is something that people often do not think about. Like life insurance, if you make all this money and then you don't have a way to secure it, then at the end of the day, it goes to the government, and the government is taxing it or want to take their bite. Then you have disability insurance, which protects your income if you can't work. Critical illness, this covers like major illnesses like cancer. This one is a one-time payment. Like if cancer happens to someone, if someone gets cancer rather, you get the lump sum money paid to you immediately. But again, it's something that you, like, for example, maybe you buy a term insurance, you're already paying for it. So by the time that comes up, maybe cancer, you get your lump sum amount, right? It's the same thing with every other insurance. We have car insurance. If anything happens, you can call them, say this has happened though. The risk is now on them. So it's a way of managing risk as well so that you don't bear the brunt. And also emergency saving is also a way of you protecting yourself from risk. So so AI and money is, what can AI do? I know everybody, they're quick to jump on AI now, which of course we all are at some in one way or the other. But what can AI really do? It can educate and inform you. It cannot give regulated financial advice. You still need a human. So that's why you need certification for some things. So it can help you think through options, it cannot help you know your full financial picture. Again, the way Success said she wants to travel or do this, AI is not helping you to do all of that, right? It's still a personal thing to you. It can help you draft a budget or plan. It cannot take responsibility for outcomes. It can help you explain complex items simply. It cannot replace a certified financial planner, especially if you're someone wealthy and all of that. You do definitely need a financial planner or advisor. It can help you run scenarios and projection, but it cannot help you predict market or guarantee a return. It can help you prep for, maybe you're going for an advisor meeting, but your money is deeply emotional, so it cannot help you with that part. So AI can inform your financial goals, but it's just a tool. Like we all know, it's not a financial advisor. So for example, I put a prompt here. I am a 28-year-old Canadian with 200 per month to invest. I have a TFSA with 15K room. I'm a medium risk investor. What should I, emphasis, consider? Not what should I do? What should I consider? So it will give you some things to consider, but the ultimate onus of decision lies on you. And some tools, there are robo-advisor, which most people have. There's Copilot Money. There are AI assisted budgeting. Some of the budgeting tools that we saw earlier, some of them actually have AI assisted, they have AI assisted, they have AI agents rather that helps also inside your app. And then of course we have ChatGPT and Claude. Then this is a bonus, but I don't know if we necessarily want to go through it. It's already 2:51 right here. And again, your time is very important. So yes, we can stop here. Do we have questions?
Thank you very much. I think I was trying to go through some of the things that you had said regarding the dividend stock and real estate ones as well. Like I was just on World Simple, and it seems like you have to have the TFSA before you can um buy any of those stocks. So this is before this one, and the one before this one.
This
The
one?
next, the medium risk, medium. So no, like the medium risk.
this one.
Yes, so you give examples of REITs and
Yeah.
dividend stocks. You said EMB or something like that. So you had said if you just search on Wealthsimple. So I was just searching on Wealthsimple, and then I think the way they have done it is you have to open a TFSA with them or something like that before you can invest in it.
So before you can do any investment, you have to have an account inside the brokerage. So Wealthsimple would be a brokerage, right? Then inside the brokerage, you want to create an account. That's where, oh, do you want to create FHSA account? Do you want to create TFSA? Do you want to create RSP? Then that is just an account. Nothing is happening if you don't do anything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, like I have accounts, but I think because they're all checking accounts. I
Oh
have
no,
accounts with Wealthsimple, but it seems like I have to have a TFSA account with them.
yeah, you have
Okay.
to have a FSA account. So yeah, I'll do that. So yeah, I'm
Okay.
looking for how to explain it. It's just an account. Like you are not yet investing anything. It's just like me walking to a bank. I'm opening maybe a checking account. I already know what the checking account does. It's just to keep money. Then I go to the bank and say, oh, I want to open a TFSA. Then they open a TFSA. Then they now go further to say, oh, what do you want to invest inside your TFSA? Then you now be like, oh, index fund. I really want to do index funds. So you are still the one to pick where you want to invest. So inside that TFSA or FHSA or RRSP, you now go inside. Then they'll now say, okay, inside this your TFSA, or what do you want to invest in? Then you type REIT, you type the ENG, the stock, then you'll be able to invest inside the TFSA. And it's the same thing in the RSP. You'll be able to go inside and say, okay, well, inside this my RSP, oh, I want to invest in NVIDIA. I want to invest in this index fund. Does that help? Does that help?
Yes, yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. And I would have loved to do like um I'll have loved to do like practical. Okay. So for example, let's say inside this, now we're investing inside what's this? My stuff is covering it. So this Royal Bank, let's say I have a TFSA, then inside that TFSA account, then I go and search for the ticker number, which is this, the RY, right? Then that's where I'll now say, okay, let me buy Royal Bank stock inside the TFSA. Yeah. So that's how it works.
Thank you.
Helpful?
Yes.
Okay. We'll not be able to touch on the credit. It's something else as well. Well, okay, I'm just going to highlight this for credit. So there are different types of credit, but the main one that people run into a lot of problem is credit card. And with credit card, something you want to look out for, there are two main dates. You want to look out your statement closing date. So usually they'll send you, if you carry a balance, for example, you have a credit card limit of 1,000, you have spent maybe like $200, then you always get an email where they'll say that, oh, your due date is so date. So that's your statement closing date, right? And then by the due date you want to pay. Some people say, should I pay my credit card immediately? I spend the money. The thing that happens when you do that is the fact that your account would be recognized as you're not even using your credit card. So at this statement they capture your account, what your credit card is saying, then send it to their two main credit bureaus here, Equifax or TransUnion. They send it to them, and then they're able to say that, okay, this is what your credit card is looking right now, and that helps to so there's a calculation that helps to grow your credit. Literally, we're supposed to touch on that. There's a calculation they did. There are really 5 things that helps you to grow your credit, and then that way, once they send the statement to you on your closing date, they'll give you the due date when you're supposed to pay off your balance. And within that period, you should pay off your balance. If not, one day after that if you don't pay off your balance or at least the minimum, you're going to be racking up interest on it. And credit card interest is literally the highest. It's usually the highest. That's why it's always advised, like, as much as possible, pay it off. If not, the investment you're doing, the debt you're paying, the interest you're paying on the debt is most likely eroding the investment you're doing. So this is how you calculate your credit score. The payment history. Did you pay on time? The biggest factor, paying in full and all, 30% of that. Then you have credit utilization. How much of your credit are you using? And it's always advisable to keep you on that 30%. Then length of credit card. If you have a credit card that you opened a while ago, it's most likely advisable not to close it. You might not use it, but don't close it. If not, it can hit your credit score. And then credit mix. Do you have different types of credit? Right. You can have, maybe you have credit cards, maybe you have mortgage, you have car, and the last one, new inquiries. You don't want to be getting inquiries. For example, you walk into Walmart, they say, oh, we want to give you a credit card, then you allow them to do a check. There's something called ad check and soft check. You allow them to do a check that can dip your credit score. So these are the ways credit are calculated here in Canada. And then this the credit rating.
Question.
Yeah.
So for the inquiry one, the way sometimes credit cards say that they want to increase your limit, do they also do inquiry before that? Because sometimes it's like it's not like I'm inquiring for an increase in limit. They are like, we can increase your limit too. I'm like, okay, why not?
No, usually if you get a limit increase, that means you're doing well with your credit. Right. So they're not inquiring. They already see that you're doing well with your credit card. They just want to increase it. And it's always advisable to take it because you know how we say 1,000, we have 1,000 credits, we have 1,000 credit limits, and we say we don't want to use more than 30%. If you increase it, then you can spend more with 30%. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's always nice to take it. They're not doing any hard or soft check. They already see that you're doing well with your credit. That's why they're just saying, oh, can we up it for you? It's almost like when you go to Walmart and say, oh, can we give you this in addition? Like there's no harm in taking it. So as long as you continue to use it well. So this our credit, each and everybody person falls in either of this category, and you can, it's always advisable, even though you can check your credit score on your bank, you should have either an Equifax account or a TransUnion account. It gives you more detail on your credit, and you want to be checking it often because sometimes some scammers actually are able to access some of these things. Someone is using your credit and you don't even know. Maybe you lose your credit card or something. So you really want to be checking your TransUnion and or if you have an Equifax account to be able to know if anybody is doing any funny transaction in your account. So pretty much that is it. This is just a quick overview. I know sometimes money could be tight. You really can't pay your credit card balance, but you also want to make sure that you're paying at least the minimum balance because the interest actually accumulates. I was working with someone and our interest started with just usually it would be like $24 or even less. Then it had gotten to monthly about 60 something. So you want to tackle your credit card as soon as possible. It can literally be a tiny problem and just blow up all of a sudden. So it's something really to look out for. That's the only credit I really picked on to zone in on, aside from the other ones. Then pay your balance before the due date. Only spend the money you can pay back. Sometimes it's not possible, but at least that's why the minimum balance is good. Our utilization rate should be below 30%. That's why if you have an increase in credit, if they increase your credit limit, you're able to spend more on 30% with 30%, right? And then all of these are just links. So yes, we've come to the end and we'll absolutely love feedback. Please, if this was helpful, I absolutely cherish genuine comments, how the class was, if you learned something, Yeah, so absolutely would appreciate your feedback. And that's it. And yeah, we've come to the end. I can't believe I've spoken for 2 hours.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And yeah, I'm always on LinkedIn if you're looking for me. If you're looking for me, it's LinkedIn. And yeah, pretty much. And yeah.
This was really awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank
Oh,
you
Yeah.
so much.
finance babe.
I hope you learned one thing or two. Don't mind me. I hope you learned one thing or two.
I definitely did, to be honest. I did.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you very much for answering all the questions that were
Yeah.
bugging.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I hope it was helpful. Do you have any other question? Or we're good?
No, I feel like if I have any other one, I can reach out to you. But for now, like I actually really
Yeah, satisfied.
like it's been very helpful. It's been very helpful.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Connect on LinkedIn. I mean, I feel like I'm following both of you already. But yeah, I'm very appreciative. Thank you for joining the class. I always enjoy doing this and pour out, so much, whether we're 100 or 10 or it doesn't matter. As long as you get value, that's all that matters to me. Yeah. All right, people of God. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.